This is your best program on television on education. I am Wilma, and today we'll be talking about the importance of financial education. I have here with me Steve Jenkins from Genistar, who is an expert when it comes to financial matters. Steve, you're very welcome to our studios.
It's good to be here again, Wilma.
Thank you. Let's look at what's been happening this week. Caroline Rooks, the Chief Executive of the Money Advice Service, said we won't end the UK's culture of debt without tackling dire gaps in financial knowledge. Building resilience and tackling today's spend today rather save for tomorrow culture is something that cannot be done overnight. Let's take a look at the current mindset of many people when it comes to managing money.
How do you manage money? Do you spend? Do you save?
When I save my money up for something I really want, then I feel really good about myself.
Money, it comes and it goes a lot. So I need to be careful with my needs and my wants and stuff like that. I need to stop and be like, do I really need this?
It's a bit like impulses where you think, I have to get that. I've often looked back and thought, could I spend that money on something else?
It's so annoying when you know you have to put the money away, and it's so hard not to touch that money. But even though if you're missing out on something, it's better in the long run.
You've got to have a balance basically between your student life and your social life. You just have to tell your friends where you're at, and if they don't appreciate it, then are they really your friends?
I feel a lot better when I spend money and I still have money to spend on other things instead of spending it all in one go.
I pay out my term's rent with the rest of my budget. It helps you focus on the importance of stewarding your money correctly and being responsible with it.
Pay for your necessities first. If you do have money left over, then if it's yours to spend, spend it.
What are your top tips for saving?
If you need it, then buy it, but if you don't, then just keep your hands out of your purse.
Try and go home for lunch instead of eating out from a shop, say, try and save money.
Wait till something goes on sale and is cheaper, and then go and buy it then.
I go to markets and then I make quality meals that will last me throughout the week that I can just cook when I need.
There's no use spending £10 and just buying 4 pizzas, so that's not going to benefit you at all.
Somehow I always end up buying the pizza anyway.
Don't be pressured by your peers just because they have this latest phone and stuff like that and you don't have it.
Spend as much money as you can in cash form rather than card form. That keeps you aware of your financial actions.
If you do have money left over to save, then definitely start saving now.
Well, being in a healthy financial state cannot be overemphasized, and Caroline Rooks says we won't end the culture of debt without tackling the dire gaps in financial knowledge. Steve, why they should come to this conclusion? Why making this statement?
Well, the facts are the facts. People are in debt. The average family has between £15,000 and £18,000 worth of debt, and that's crippling. And the challenge is that there's no financial education in the home, in the school, or anywhere.
That's interesting. Is the problem the lack of setting a goal, having no financial education in the home, in the school, or anywhere? Whose responsibility is it?
Well, it's all of our responsibility. I don't think you can put the responsibility on any one person or organisation's shoulders. But I think it's people just don't see further than next week, next month, next year, and as a result, people don't have, as you say, have a goal. And the challenge that we have, as we've discussed before, is that 95% of people are going to get to retirement age with no money, and it creeps up on us. We get there, time goes by quickly. And we don't realise that the actions that we took when we were younger are a massive consequence for later on in life when we get to retirement age.
And that is what is affecting a lot of people today, because they took the wrong actions when they were younger without no financial guidance at all.
That's correct. Yeah.
Very interesting. Let's look at the problem of the lack of goal setting. Where should that start from? From the school, at home, at work, or where?
Well, the home probably is the best place to start, because if as a parent you are goal-minded, goal-orientated, your children are going to catch that. They're going to pick that up off you. If you're not, then there's nothing to pick up. So, and it's vital that you have what we call a clear, concise mental picture, or a CCMP for short, of where you're going in the future. So if you're going on holiday next year, you'd start planning it now, wouldn't you? And if you're going to get retired one day, you should really start planning that right now.
So a lot of people don't plan at all.
Very few.
Very few. Caroline says the level of personal debt in the UK can cost the economy up to £8 billion a year. That's actually staggering, which means the consequences of not hitting any financial goal is not just to the individual, but to the economy as a whole as well.
Yeah, and this is the challenge. A lot of people are drowning in debt. As a consequence, the thought of putting together a budget, the thought of setting a goal to become debt-free and become financially independent just is overwhelming. It's too far away, but it is possible.
It is possible. You talked about the CCMP, that's you called it a concise, clear mental picture.
Yeah.
Where did that originate from?
Well, it came from a book that I read many years ago, and there's a famous guy called Andrew Carnegie. He was the first ever billionaire on the planet, and when he retired, he decided he wanted to give all his money away. Very similar to many industrialists of the time, very similar to many wealthy people today. They can't take their money with them. But what Andrew did, more so than any other wealthy person that I've ever studied, is that he wanted to share the secrets of success and wealth with as many people as possible. So he commissioned a man called Napoleon Hill, that many people will know his books and his material, to lay it all down. And he put it in this book that I have here, called The Wisdom of Andrew Carnegie. And it's a fantastic read. You can get it on Amazon for less than £10. And I constantly read the book because it's refreshing my attitudes and my activities on a daily basis.
Tell us some of the tips that Andrew Carnegie came up with. You said he gave up.
Yeah,
he gave out everything he owned anyway because he can't take it anywhere.
That's correct. Yeah, and I think that he says the hardest part of all is taking the first step, and that hardest part, the first step from poverty to riches, is the most difficult. And he says in the book that all riches and all material things that anyone acquires through self-effort begin in the form of a clear, concise mental picture of the thing one seeks. So having a vision, having a picture of exactly what you want at some point in the future is the hardest part. And that is why your question is very pertinent, in that is goal planning part of the problem. It is part of the problem, because if you can have a picture, a clear, concise mental picture of exactly where you're going, what you want to achieve, when by, then all of a sudden you start taking the actions required in order to get there.
But it's given everything he has, it seems he's looking at the principle which says it's more blessed to give than to receive. Is that one of the reasons why he actually became a billionaire?
Yeah, I would say so. Without doubt, you know, what you give in life comes back tenfold. We all know that. However, somebody once said to me that the best thing you can do if you want to help the poor is to not be one yourself, because obviously the more wealth that you have, the more that you can give. Does that make sense?
It does. It does make sense. Yes.
Yeah.
So, how do you determine your CCMP?
Right, well, you've got to ask yourself some good quality questions. Sit down with yourself, have a meeting with yourself, if you like, and ask yourself, you know, what excites you in life? What are you passionate about? So I know a lady who's passionate about making cakes, and they're fantastic cakes, and she's passionate about it, and she loves doing it, and she's created a business that's allowing her to flourish financially. You've got to ask yourself questions like, where do you want to be at a certain age? What do you want to do? What do you want to become? And finally decide what you really want. If you want to be a nurse or a doctor or a teacher, that's fantastic. You've then got to work out the steps required in order to do that. But the first step is having a picture in your mind, so that you can then work out exactly where you want to go. The good book, the Bible, says, without vision people perish, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So let's have a clear, concise mental picture of exactly where you want to go.
Why is it that most people actually don't hit their goals financially? I mean, for Caroline Brooks to come out to say a lot of people in debt is costing the economy up to £8 billion a year.
I think belief's a big challenge. I think there are a number of issues. I think there are, when you're in debt, you're in bondage. You're held back, and mentally it's tough to get out of that. So you need someone to help. You need a financial coach, maybe. You certainly need what we offer, which is a financial game plan at Genistar, where you can sit down with a financial coach and they can show you through some debt stacking programs and other tools how to become debt free. So you get what's called a debt free date, so that you then have a picture of exactly when that's going to happen, what you've got to do to get there, and that gives you hope, so that you can then concentrate on becoming financially independent once that's achieved.
The debt culture in the UK is definitely crippling a lot of people. You talked about the CCMP, the clear, concise mental picture, and a lot of people have set goals to say, okay, I like baking cakes, for the example you gave. How can the person stay on track?
Yeah.
Because there will be challenges in actually getting to the destination.
There will, and those challenges are inevitable. And there are a number of things that you can use. You can have a mentor. You can have an environment. Get yourself in with a group of people that encourage you. Get yourself with people who are like-minded, who are positive about moving forward. The other thing that needs to be understood also is that if you take a look at the advertising industry, they spend billions and billions of pounds on advertising. Why do they do that? They do that because they know it works. So we're all influenced by advertisements, whether they be on the TV, whether they be on a billboard, on the side of a bus, wherever. If you could have a picture of exactly what you wanted and where you wanted to go, and you created that picture for yourself, and set up your own advertising program. So on a very shallow, simple level, if you wanted a new car, for example, and you took a picture of that car, and you looked at that picture often enough, you're going to be setting your subconscious mind, your goal planning, your clear, concise mental picture, to reminding you on a daily basis of exactly what you want. So having pictures of what you want is a childlike thing to do, and it feels clunky, but it definitely works.
In other words, you have to guard your heart from every advertisement that is contrary to your vision.
Yeah, I mean they'll go in. They'll go in. You can't avoid looking at a poster. You can't avoid some of the. You can't turn the TV off every time you don't agree with something. But if you could choose what you wanted to see, that's the difference, isn't it? Is that we're all subjected to advertising. But if we could choose what advertising was going into our mind on the things that we really wanted, then we'd create our own adverts, wouldn't we?
So really staying on track, the first step is to make sure the kind of information around you has to be consistent with what you believe or your goals.
Yeah, that's environment. Environment's a big part of becoming successful.
Let's talk about developing a burning desire.
Sure. Well, it's important that once you read the book, you've got your CCMP in place. The next thing is to develop your desire for the thing that you want, and having the pictures and having the visual images will help. I think
here is a lot of people want to be financially independent.
Right.
They want to be debt free.
Right. So therefore, a financial game plan that has a picture of your debt as it stands at the moment, which I know is uncomfortable for many people to look at, but it's a reality check. And then a picture of exactly what you've got to do in order to get there gives you a clear, concise mental picture of the road you've got to travel in order to get where you want to go.
Very interesting. Now, let's talk about financial independence. A lot of people actually do not understand what it means to be financially independent.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It means different things to different people. But in simple terms, it's the income you need coming in every month without work, without effort, to pay your bills so that you can be comfortable.
Without work, without any effort.
That's correct. Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people want to get to.
That's correct.
What is the rule of 10?
Right, well, in simplistic terms, the rule of 10 is the annual income you need. So let's say, for example, £1,000 a month would be enough for you to be financially independent. Let's assume that your mortgage is paid off, your debt is paid off, there's no rent you have to pay, the only bills you need to pay for are your keep, maybe a holiday every year, and let's say that comes to £1,000 a month. 1,000 a month times 12 is obviously £12,000 a year. The rule of 10 is a rule of thumb that if you multiply that annual income by 10, that's obviously £120,000, isn't it? So if you've got an investment, whether it be a property, whether it be stocks and shares, the investment, what it is doesn't matter. If you've got an investment that's valued at around 120,000, you can ballpark draw from that £1,000 a month, and the asset will remain for the rest of your life, and therefore the income will remain coming in every month for the rest of your life.
How best can people go about become financially independent?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing is obviously set the goal. Ask yourself how much would you need every month coming in, and then you've got a picture. You've got an amount that you need. Then you need what we call a financial game plan to work out how to get there. A little bit like a sat-nav for your finances.
Tell us some of the things in the financial game plan, which is the sat-nav, because for the sat-nav, you have to put the postcode, and the postcode gets you there.
That's right.
So really, in the financial game plan, what would they have to do to ensure that they get to that goal?
Well, you sit down with a financial coach, and what they do is they ask you the questions that identifies what your goals are. So first of all, if to get rid of debt, which would be the first thing, we would take down the details of all your debt and work out a program to get rid of it. Once that's achieved, we would then start saving and investing towards financial independence.
So it's actually working out a program to pay off the debt gradually
Yeah.
and learn to save.
Yeah.
From the clip we listened to, looking at the mindset of many people when it comes to managing money, not many people agree that they really have to save. Some agree they have to save, but they also have to spend.
Sure.
And Caroline is actually saying the problem is that there is actually the gaps in the financial knowledge. What gaps specifically is she talking about? Is it the lack of saving culture?
I think it's probably more about the attitude towards saving, investing, and becoming debt free. I think we have a culture where people are more focused on spending than they are saving. Now, I love spending. Shopping, is a wonderful thing. It's very enjoyable.
Spending on the debit card, spending on the credit card,
but it's
eating up the assets.
Right, but it's about balance. And and we'll talk about this over the next 10 lessons that we do. And the next one we're talking about is about budgeting. So if you're earning £1,000 a month, it'd be madness to spend £999 of it on your shopping. Yeah, you've got to put a percentage of that away for the future, and we'll be talking about that in later lessons.
So that's one of the problems. Most people don't actually save, in quotes, for a rainy day.
Yeah, they need money for an emergency fund. They need money for children's education. People need money for their retirement. So, you have to apportion a percentage of your income to all of those things.
We know that the first responsibility here has got to do with the person, the individual involved, taking the right steps.
Yep.
But let's look at the educational system where we have gaps when it comes to the financial education that children get in school. What can be done, and how can parents bridge that gap?
Well, I think the first step is to get the education themselves. I know with many families that I've helped that the education filters down from the parents to the children. So as we go through these lessons, what we'll find is that if the adults, if the parents learn the financial education, implement some of the tools that we use, what will happen is that will have a knock-on effect to the children.
So the parents have to go about getting the financial education themselves.
Absolutely.
What about the school system?
Well, I'm not in government, and I know you have many politicians here and other organisations that are more qualified than I to talk about that. But the government could do more. And to be fair to them, it's a lot better than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. But yeah, it'd be wonderful if we had a financial education minister one day, wouldn't it?
Okay, who is going to give the parent the financial education? Because some parents don't even know where to start from. They are in debt themselves.
Yeah. Well, we at Genistar are a financial education company, and we visit people in the homes. We have thousands of financial coaches up and down the country that visit people in their home and deliver one of these. And they're free of charge. They don't cost anybody any money. All we want to do is we want to help people get out of debt and become financially independent, but not by telling them what to do, by educating them how to do it for themselves. So we're empowering people to learn how it's done so that the knock-on effect cascades down through the generations.
Let's look at the idea of saving. If someone says, well, the example you gave, Ian, about £1,000 a month and spending £9.99, and all the essential needs have to be met. For example, the rent in London is pretty high for quite a number of people. What should they do?
Well, you've got to start from where you stand, and if we've established that that people are fine lining it with all the money coming in is going out, the only thing they need to do is they need to better themselves. That's the only option that's out for them. They've got to either get a secondary income, which is a big part of what Genistar talks about, or they've got to get a pay rise. They've got to find a way of earning more income.
Looking at a secondary income, a lot of people on a secondary income are actually a lot of health problems when it comes to that, because some people are working 12, 15 hours a day. Is the secondary income always the best?
I think it's the only option. If someone's got one income and they're not earning enough, then the only thing they can do is increase their income, or they could reduce their overheads. That's the other thing that we help people with. We'll be talking about this in the next class. Is about budgeting and trying to cut some of the bills that people are paying. As a little bit of a taster for the next one, most people I know love to go to one of the branded coffee shops, and so do I. I know people who go in every day, and it's very difficult to spend less than £5 a day in one of those coffee shops. Well, £5 a day is, if you go 5 days a week, is £100 a month. £100 a month is £1,200 a year. If that was saved or put somewhere a little bit more wisely, then obviously people's finances would improve.
Leave the branded items.
I think on the coffee side, yes, because you can get a jar of coffee for about £1, and you can get a packet of biscuits for less than the price of one of those big ones that they offer.
Let's talk about skill acquisition for those who actually want to increase their income. Talking about skill acquisitions, what should they actually do? Because a lot of times to acquire new skills, they would also have to spend money to actually get those skills. Is there any help for them?
Well, it opens the door for what we're about. We are actually looking for some people who could do with a secondary income or looking for a career change to learn our financial education and teach it to other people. And we have people in our organisation from all walks of life who are nurses, teachers, ministers even. We have people from every form of background. We have a very successful gentleman in our team who's a trained doctor. We have people who are bus drivers. We have people who have been made redundant. We have people from every area of life that are looking to do something different. And we're interested in meeting those people, talking to them about our financial education program from a perspective of not just using it for themselves, but also learning it from a point of view of teaching it to other people. And there is a decent part-time income for people who would like to do that.
Brilliant. So which means you actually help people not just to get out of debt and become financially independent, but at the same time they can actually acquire the skills and become financial counselors themselves to others who are in debt.
That's correct, yeah. Many people join us to earn the money they need to get out of debt. They also want to earn the money they need so they can stop working one day and not work till they're 70, 75 years of age, as we've discussed most people are going to have to do.
Well, viewers, this is Education Talk, and today we are looking at the importance of financial education. We have here in our studio Steve Jenkins from Genistar, who is a financial expert. If you're wondering, how do I get out of debt? I mean, it's costing the economy and also the individual over £8 billion a year. You can send emails to educationtalk@loveworldtv.co.uk or go to the Genistar website and contact Steve. Thank you so much, Steve, for coming into our studios.
Thank you for having me.
Viewers, this is Education Talk. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of our programs.